Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fumble Sports Weekly NFL Show, where we're going to take you through everything you need around the world of the NFL. We are going to have a great show tonight, which will include some gambling notes around the NFL draft, of course, touching on the latest with Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, everything going on in NFL offseason news, free agency, and trades. And of course, we will also get into some of the rumors going on now about everyone's favorite GOAT and whether he will actually join an NFL team next year. So many things to discuss in this show. So excited to have all of our usual speakers there. Of course, we have Adam. You can catch him at @SpotterAJ on Twitter. Adam, how are you doing tonight?
Real good. Hope you are as well. And, the NFL owners meeting, I'm just going to sleep better tonight knowing instead of hammering out the issues of inconsistent officiating and, some of the other stuff, ties in the game. They're really working hard, making sure that the players can wear number 0 next year. So I will.
Hey, let's not hate on that,
sleep
Adam.
good
I like the
tonight.
0.
It's okay, but we got bigger issues to fix in the NFL than the players can wear 0.
I disagree. I want to be able to sell apparel using as many numbers as possible. And actually, I will say this. On a badass factor, I think 0 is pretty high. I'm not a 00 guy, so I don't necessarily want to see it go there. But I do like seeing the number 0. I think that's kind of cool. We'll see ultimately, Jason Tatum is a good example. We'll ultimately see if it works out in the NFL. But good to have Adam on the show. Of course, Adam, don't worry. We'll get to Aaron Rodgers. We know how much you love talking about that every week. Also want to get in one of our usual speakers. Let's see if he's able to jump on. Lope, appreciate you being on. Blease as well. We have a number of people joining us. Yoni as well. Appreciate all of you guys jumping into the show. Feel free to jump in. Lope, now that I see you're on, how you doing tonight?
Good. Good to be back and talk football. Whether it's the player numbers or Aaron Rodgers or any other stuff that's going on in the offseason.
No, I love hearing from you, Lope. Hope you're having a great week. I know that your Miami Dolphins are looking pretty in their offseason, but they are still in the rumors for Lamar Jackson like so many other teams are. And that's where we start. A lot of it revolving actually around the AFC East. And it's not the Miami Dolphins necessarily as much as it is the New England Patriots. For some bizarre reason, Meek Mill is in the middle of the situation. He reached out to Robert Kraft to let the Patriots know that Lamar Jackson would be interested in joining the Patriots. Of course, when Lamar Jackson was drafted by the Ravens, the Patriots had an opportunity to draft him, moved out of that pick. The Ravens were able to scoop up Lamar Jackson. So it would be interesting now if the Patriots were able to ultimately turn it around. Doesn't seem like a move Robert Kraft would make for a number of reasons. And I start with the most important factor in this. I don't see Robert Kraft giving Lamar Jackson guaranteed money. And I feel like that's the ultimate sticking point for Lamar Jackson. But this feels like a mad lib of circumstances. Robert Kraft, Meek Mill, Lamar Jackson. Adam, do you think the Patriots would be a good fit? And do you think on the probability scale, this is even close to being possible?
Okay, full disclosure, I don't know who Meek Mill is. So let's just put that on the table right now. I have no idea.
He's a fire rapper who comes out of Philly, who was arrested a few years ago, got locked up. There was a kind of a public effort to try to get him out. Robert Kraft was one of the most important figures in helping accomplish that. And now he and Meek Mill are not only boys, but they work together on helping incarcerated people find justice. So that's a little bit of background for you, Adam.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. Because I've never heard of him before, but that's good. I don't think, this, and Wyatt, you could tell me if I'm wrong. You know this team better than anybody, but this doesn't seem like something New England would do, was give up 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson, especially when we talked about, last week with the Colts' prototypical quarterback, the Patriots with Tom Brady kind of moved to Mac Jones. Does Belichick have a scheme for Lamar Jackson? Could he incorporate something? Probably could. This just doesn't seem like a New England Patriot thing to do.
It's funny you say that because the only thing I would push back on, I agree with you in that Bill Belichick, for the most part, has been the classic pocket passing quarterback, drafter. But he loves Navy. He loves Navy football. It goes back to his dad, Steve Belichick, and how he used to be kind of the lead scout for Navy. Can you imagine Bill Belichick running a Navy system, a Navy offense with Lamar Jackson? The NFL would hate it. Everyone would hate it. the Patriots would succeed with it. So I actually think it would be a lot of fun to see. But I don't think that this situation is going to go anywhere simply because I don't see the Baltimore Ravens wanting to play ball. I don't see them having any reason to want to get involved in this. Lope, I know you're someone who's a big fan of Lamar Jackson. Do you think he should be representing himself, or do you think he's putting himself in a hole that he won't be able to dig himself out of?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to concentrate on the football, and I thought he should pick an agent. I think some players have tried it the other way, and some have succeeded with it, but most crash. And I think this is one of those things where the NFL is not trying to see a precedent, and I'm not trying to get into any conspiracy theories, but I don't know that they're trying to get into a precedent where you can get fully guaranteed contracts and not be represented by an agent and all that stuff. So I think he might have put himself in a tough spot, and I think ultimately it's going to be hard for a team to offer more than I think what the Ravens were trying to.
It's funny, a Miami Dolphins fan isn't into conspiracies because of what happened last year. Let me know how that first-round pick goes, Lope. But that said, we'll shift gears from Lamar Jackson and him getting kind of locked into Baltimore to another player who is holding multiple franchises hostage at this point, Aaron Rodgers. I feel like unless we hear something from the Pat McAfee show, it's just rumors and whispers about how close this deal is to getting done. I don't see Aaron Rodgers doing anything to smooth out the process for the Jets. I feel like all of his talk is only complicating the matter. And worse, now it's coming out that the Packers weren't able to contact him. And there's kind of a level of bad faith that obviously doesn't just go with this situation, but goes with everything Aaron Rodgers connects. And of course, we go to our guy in Green Bay to give us all the breakdown on it. Adam, you're Mr. Wisconsin, so let us know. How do the Chiefs feel about what Rodgers is doing now? And does this change anything at all?
Well, I will say I was surprised. I did say a couple weeks ago I'd be shocked if he came out and said much on the McAfee show, but he did. He came out and said that he wanted to play for the Jets. However, he did say going into his darkness retreat he was 90% retired, and then when he emerged, he saw that the Packers were rumoredly trading him, and now he wanted to play again. So he really threw the Packers under the bus in that interview. He swung the first purse. Now, Gutekunst now swung the second purse, saying that they tried to contact him and, he wouldn't respond. His agent wouldn't respond. And there was, a big disconnect there. So this is just a bad breakup. I mean, this is all there is to it. You're going to have he said, she said all over the place in this deal. And, a deal eventually needs to get done. The rumors of Green Bay holding out for that 13th pick from the Jets. Jets don't want to give it up.
Get out of here.
Yeah, they did trade for Elijah Moore to get those two, the 42nd, 43rd, or 43rd and 44th pick in the second round as an offer. So, there's a lot of moving parts here. I mean, in the end, another article came out today saying Odell Beckham now is talking to the Jets from the owners' meetings, which was on the list for Rodgers. I mean, in the end, I think this deal gets done. There is a June 1st cap for the Packers. I think they can spread more money evenly if they trade him after June 1st. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Eventually, I do think it gets done. But this is just a bad breakup, all the way around. And it's going to be he said, she said until this thing finally gets sorted out.
The Packers don't know how to break up with a quarterback. Clearly, that is evident from their last two relationships. I guess that's good when you have Hall of Fame relationships in which you have to break up from. Not the worst thing in the world, of breaking up with a supermodel to move on to another. Hopefully, Jordan Love can be that for you, Adam. I do want to bring this question both to you, Adam, and to Lope as well. Which precedent is worse for the NFL? Lamar Jackson, obviously the precedent was set by Deshaun Watson, but Lamar Jackson trying to hold the Ravens hostage and force his way out to get guaranteed money. If he got it, that would set a new precedent. Or this shopping list that Aaron Rodgers has presented to the Jets in order to appease him. Which precedent is worse, Adam?
Well, I don't like the Rodgers shopping list to appease him, but I think, in my opinion, it's the Lamar Jackson situation because he has a franchise tag. He's saying, he's holding out. And I think the biggest thing with the NFL here is that he doesn't have an agent. Like, to Lope's point, like he needs to get somebody to represent him. And they had to send the article out saying this Francis character was trying to represent him, but he's not, officially licensed by the NFL. It's just a bad look all the way around with the NFL. And a player has franchise tag saying, I'm not going to play, holding out. So, I mean, as much as it pains me to go away from Aaron Rodgers on this one, I actually think Lamar Jackson probably is a worse look for the NFL than a Rodgers offering a list of his wants to another team.
Giving a shout out to Fat Batman who joined the conversation. And this goes actually to what your profile pick is about, which is I love Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey talking in their podcast this past week about how the NFLPA needs to do more to rid the league of bad agents. And I feel like Lamar Jackson, he didn't go the agent route, but he's also exposing the fact that if you don't wade into the waters with agents, you're going to get the worst end of the deal. But just because you sign with an agent, that doesn't necessarily mean it's better for you anyways. And the players need to NFL players don't have as much power as players in other leagues, and they need to continue to assert themselves. I don't have a problem with Lamar Jackson trying to do that. I just feel like he doesn't have a good negotiator in his family. I feel like there isn't a good negotiator by his side. If he had a family member who was demonstrating an ability to do this, I'd have no problem with it. We saw it with LeBron James, his friend group. They learned how to negotiate pretty fast. So it's not like you can't come from somewhere and learn how to deal at the boardroom level. You can. I just don't feel like Lamar Jackson has that person. And it is concerning me only because he's trying to represent a new generation of negotiating athletes, and he's failing. And it makes me concerned because everything in the NFL, it's almost like the law. It sets a precedent, and these old owners, they're not going to move from that. They're going to hold these players' feet to the fire. I go back to you, Lope. Which precedent is worse? Lamar Jackson kind of trying to maneuver his way, do all of this to get guaranteed money, or Aaron Rodgers and his shopping list?
Well, I think it is Lamar Jackson just because you're talking about changing the principle of how it's done. I mean, guaranteed contracts are not something the NFL likes because it is a sport where you can go out on one play. Players representing themselves is another one where it's kind of changing the mold. The shopping list, I mean, I just think that's going to be more on quarterbacks are going to get more say on who they pick for offensive coordinators, who they pick for which weapons they want. I think Russell Wilson probably had a little bit of say on Denver and who to grab and some of this stuff. And I think other quarterbacks, Tom Brady obviously brought a bunch of people to Tampa and got Gronk. He told Gronk to come with him, and he wanted AB and all. So I think that's more the future, but what Lamar Jackson's trying to do is change a mold and a set principles that have been in the NFL for a long, long time.
I know this goes without saying because of where my growing up fandom is, but I would love to see the Jets absolutely implode this season simply because I think the shopping list is a terrible precedent. What Tom Brady did, he recruited. You want to recruit, that's fine. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is in his own way saying, if you don't get these players, I'm going to make a stink. And I just don't like the idea that we're going to promote this kind of ego-driven diva behavior. Aaron Rodgers, you are already the ultimate diva. Broadway wouldn't be able to handle you right now. And I feel like you going to New York and succeeding would just be the worst thing imaginable because there are going to be some obnoxious quarterbacks that come through in the next 10, 15 years of the NFL. And one of them is just going to be awful. And they're going to be a miserable player who's going to demand a lot of money. But not just that. You've got to go sign all my buddies. You've got to make all these moves. And I hope it doesn't backfire on my franchise. And I hope for your sake, it doesn't happen to yours. But it's going to happen to somebody if Aaron Rodgers not only gets his way, but succeeds. We're going to close out our early conversation about off-season movements with just a quick poll question. There were some talks this week about, well, I don't want to say talks, there were some rumors out on social media that Tom Brady, because he was buying the Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA team, that he might be interested in going to Vegas and joining the Raiders. Josh McDaniels. First of all, I don't believe this because is Jimmy Garoppolo really going to be cuckolded another time by Tom Brady? I just don't see it happening. But that said, Adam, Lope, do you give any credence to these rumors, or is this just nonsense going out there on social media? Adam, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's nonsense going on social media. I think Brady's done. Obviously bringing Garoppolo in, I think kind of solidified that deal there. But I don't think this has anything to do with Brady purchasing that share and then having to join the Raiders. So I think it's nonsense.
Lope, I know you wanted Brady in Miami, and I know you were loving the rumors that he lived down there. But do you see there being any possibility that he joins the Raiders?
No, I don't. I think he's retired. He's not going to want to waffle 3 or 4 times. But the 0.1% chance he wanted to go back, the Raiders would take him over Jimmy G tomorrow.
Oh, that much we know for sure, Loeb. There's no doubt about that. You have the GOAT versus Mr. Glass. You always go with the GOAT over the guy who's going to break down just going through a regular NFL season. So with all of that said, that covers our off-season NFL quarterback news. We're going to shift and transition now and look at the NFL draft. Countdown to the NFL draft. We are technically less than a month away. So exciting that we're actually getting to a place where we're going to make some picks. I've had enough of these mock draft rounds at this point. We did ours last week. We'll do another one next week. That's how it goes. But for now, we're going to actually look towards Vegas and look towards some of the betting odds that go into some of the picks and some of the positions that actually you can make a bet on in relation to the NFL draft. Guys, we're going to go around. We'll start with Adam, go to Lope, and finish out each round. We're looking at the odds right now for we'll start with the first overall pick. CJ Stroud is the heavy favorite at minus 325, with Bryce Young coming in at plus 275. Anthony Richardson, who has been lingering, he moved up a couple months ago. Now he's lingering at plus 750, with Will Levis, a long shot bet, at plus 3,500. Adam, do you feel like CJ Stroud is an easy bet to lock in, even at that minus 325? Are you willing to take a chance that Carolina is being truthful, that they're willing to move out of that number one pick, or look towards someone else?
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to move out of the number one pick, but, last week we did the mock draft. I was, pretty firmly on CJ Stroud. Over the last couple of days, it seems like some of the things I've been reading and leaking out that Bryce Young could still be on the table here for Carolina. I know his height obviously is the number one issue. Mike Tannenbaum just came out with another mock draft. Now, he also did have Hendon Hooker going to Seattle, early in the draft, but he did have Bryce Young slightly ahead of CJ Stroud to Carolina. So minus 320 is a big number to lay with Stroud. As I said today, I would say Stroud still is the pick, but there's been a lot more chatter about Young here lately the last 3 days than there has been.
I'm surprised because I don't see Bryce Young in the size being number one pick worthy. I do feel like that's someone who's going to take a bit of a chance on it. So interesting that that you're feeling that way and that Bryce Young even has a chance. But I feel like CJ Stroud's really strong. Lope, would you even give a little bit of a chance to Anthony Richardson at that plus 750?
I don't think so. I don't think you trade up and move that many picks to grab him. I think he would have been available further down the board. So I think you got to either go CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, and it's probably worth at least a little bit to throw on Bryce Young because I think that there is potential that he could still be the pick.
We now turn to Fat Batman. Do you have a pick on this one, Fat Batman?
For number one, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, Fat Batman. How you doing from the Batcave?
I'm good. We're crying a little bit in the Batcave, still licking wounds in February, but we're holding up. We're holding up. The Batman is never done. We live another night.
Always. I mean, Gotham needs protecting, so you fight crime another day. What do you think about this number one pick? Where would you put your money down?
Well, I mean, a lot of has been made of Bryce Young's kind of football acumen, kind of his intangibles rather than his physicals, right? So a lot of praise is given to just his knowledge of the game, just how kind of studious he is. My pick would be Bryce Young. I do think they wanted to jump over the Texans per se to grab Bryce Young. I think CJ Stroud will be the next QB off the board. But yeah, my pick would probably be Bryce Young to Carolina.
Interesting. Okay, so a little bit of a split decision here. We're going to move on now to the next bet that's offered. The sports book that I'm looking at, they offer for the first defensive player to be selected. Will Anderson is the strong favorite right now at minus 400. Jalen Carter, who was the favorite a few months ago, his odds have really dropped. Didn't have a great pro day. Obviously had the injury and the issues off the field. Jalen Carter's now at plus 650. Tyree Wilson is also at plus 650. We had him going in the draft, in our mock draft last week, to the Seattle Seahawks at number 5. So he could slot in there, but it feels like Will Anderson's the strong favorite. We'll do a rapid fire on this one for everybody. Adam, we good with Will Anderson at number 1, a defensive player taken?
Yeah, it's a lot of chalk at minus 400, but he is the best defensive player in the draft, especially with Carter's off-field issues. So, yep, Will Anderson.
Lope?
Yeah, he's not only the best defensive player, he's just the best overall talent. I think he's a solidified Pro Bowl, and somebody's going to be really happy to get him.
Fat Batman, where are you coming out?
This decision, Will Anderson. I mean, Carter is definitely raising some character issues, but I think performance-wise, Will Anderson.
I have to agree with the pack here and go with Will Anderson. Minus 400. I know it feels like a lot to put down, but Jalen Carter has really forced himself out of that first defensive player picked. The only player that I have my eye on who could maybe sneak in there, look out for Christian Gonzalez. He is jumping up boards right now. He's at plus 1,200. It definitely feels like he won't overcome Will Anderson. But if I had to take a mega long shot, I'm really high on him, maybe too high. And that leads into our next betting opportunity. The first cornerback to be selected, Christian Gonzalez, is the favorite at minus 190. But Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois is at plus 175. This is one of those positions where there actually is some good competition between the top two players. Joey Porter Jr. comes in third at plus 800. As you know, I'm high on Christian Gonzalez. Adam, where do you come out? Do you think Devin Witherspoon at plus 175 might be a good bet?
Yeah, from my mock last week, I know you're high on Gonzalez, like you mentioned. I'm high on Witherspoon. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. I do believe Christian Gonzalez will be the first cornerback taken here, though. I have him at the Raiders, number 7. But I really, really like Witherspoon. I think he could be, as good, if not better than Gonzalez. But I think because of Gonzalez's dynamic ability, he will be the first cornerback taken in the draft.
Interesting. Lope, where do you come out on the cornerback first one taken?
I like Christian Gonzalez. I just think that he's athletic, and I think that he fits into a little bit more schemes. I would think that that's a safe bet. He'll be the first corner taken.
Fat Batman, you didn't join us for our mock draft last week, but what do you think about the cornerback position? Which one do you think will come off the board first?
Gonzalez, he had a great combine. I'm going to be a little bit of a homer here and say Philly grabs him at 10, but don't be surprised if we trade back and try to grab Witherspoon, because the cornerback position is one that Philly really needs to look to fill long-term.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I would love to see Joey Porter Jr. with you guys if somehow Gonzalez and Witherspoon both got taken early, because I think having a physical press corner might be a good thing for you. That said, the reason I think Christian Gonzalez is the favorite at minus 190 is that combine. He so dazzled the scouts and everyone who was watching. Witherspoon did not participate. I actually think that's the only reason where this may be a good betting opportunity. Depending on how the interviews have gone, keep your ear to the grindstone. Check out the reports from people like Adam Schefter or some of those other reporters. If there's a team that falls in love with Devin Witherspoon, I wouldn't be surprised if they view it as a great opportunity to go grab him, because Christian Gonzalez kind of got the pub, but Devin Witherspoon might be. He was the number one corner throughout the season. He hasn't retained that title throughout the offseason workouts. We'll see if someone makes that move to go get him. The next position or area of the field that we're going to focus on when it comes to bets is the first offensive lineman to be selected. We took Peter Skoronski last week as the first offensive lineman off the board. He is not the favorite. He gets his odds at plus 150, where Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State is the favorite at minus 150. Broderick Jones at plus 450 is the only other player who has decent odds here. Adam, we start with you. Is it the Northwestern big man or the Buckeye who has your betting dollar?
Yeah, I agree with our mock draft last week. I think Peter Skoronski is the first offensive lineman taken. Paris Johnson Jr. is very talented, but I have him sliding down a little bit further. So, yeah, I'll agree with what we talked about last week and have the Northwestern lineman taken first.
Yeah, I felt good about our pick last week. So I know that these odds aren't speaking well to us, but I like them. Lope, what do you think?
I actually like Paris Johnson. I think that he's got a little bit more technique and just a really big man. But I don't think you can go wrong with either one. But I think that teams seeing the film and the tape, he played some of the better games against big time things, especially the Georgia game. He had a good game, so I think that he'll be the first offensive line taken.
So we have a bit of a split decision on this one. Fat Batman, where do you come down?
Give you guys a pick 'em because for me personally, I haven't been really looking into the offensive lineman position. There was that one lineman who was a pretty good prospect right before he tore his ACL, during the combine, unfortunately. So I'm gonna pass on this one, guys.
We'll have a pass from you. I feel really good about Skoronski. I loved what I saw from his film. Big, mean, physical. But that said, Paris Johnson, I think there's just a lot of love for Ohio State. I think that naturally adds to some of the favoritism that comes out. If you go to the Pro Football Focus draft board and look at who they think is going to be drafted first, it isn't Paris Johnson. So this may be a good opportunity to put some money down, given that Northwestern tackle might be the first player drafted, or first offensive lineman drafted, rather, and he comes in at plus money. We now move to tight end. A couple really good tight ends this year in the draft. Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, Darnell Washington, who I know a couple people on our mock draft were really high on. I am as well. All of them are coming in at pretty strong odds. Mayer is the favorite at minus 120. Kincaid is at plus 175. Washington 275. Adam, do you feel like Mayer's a slam dunk, or could you see Kincaid at plus 175 being a good bet?
Well, I had Mayer in our mock draft going to the Packers to give Jordan Love another weapon. But I'll be honest with you, minus 120 is not much to lay. But if you're going to get plus 275 for Darnell Washington, he's 6'7" and runs a 4.6 40. There might be a team that falls in love with him and can move up in the draft, or maybe Mayer slides down and pick Washington. So minus 120 with Mayer is not a lot to lay for him, but I think a plus 275 for Washington could be really good value.
Love that call, Adam. Lope, what do you think?
I'm with them at those kind of odds. Darnell Washington had a really good combine and turned a lot of heads, and I think that there's a team that if they feel like they're just a spot or a few missing, they might take a flyer there for sure on the athleticism alone.
Interesting. We got a couple now loving the plus 275 on Darnell Washington. Fat Batman, I know you didn't pay attention to the O-line. What do you feel about the tight end position?
As soon as you started talking, my wife called me, but I'm going to go with PFF. They got Kincaid as number one tight end. I'm going to agree with them just for betting purposes. He's the first tight end taken off the board.
Interesting. So all of us have a plus money tight end being the first one taken off the board. So good opportunity to get some money down at that position. Michael Mayer, for all the hype during the regular season at Notre Dame, he hasn't got as much attention during the combine as I expected. Again, Darnell Washington, he really stood out. He made that one-handed catch, and his size has really impressed some people. So tight end might be a position to look at. We finish up the positional betting opportunities, and we go to wide receiver. Obviously, Jackson Smith and Jigba at minus 250 is the favorite. Quentin Johnston at plus 350 is right there. And Jordan Addison out of USC is plus 550. The only other wide receiver who comes in at better than 1,000 is Zay Flowers at plus 750. Seems like the Ohio State Buckeye wide receiver is going to be the first one taken, Adam. The odds certainly suggest it. But in some of our mocks, we discussed how Quentin Johnston could jump out of TCU and ultimately land within the top 12, maybe top 14. Do you see that plus 350 being a good bet to make?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Quentin Johnson is my favorite receiver in this draft. And at plus 350, I think that's great value. I had him going number 8 to the Falcons overall. Now, I get it. Smith and Jigba had a really, really good pro day. So that's probably why this number is elevated to a minus 250. But Quentin Johnson, to me, I think is a more overall complete receiver. We talked about his stamina to completely run route after route after route with that high tempo TCU passing offense. So Quentin Johnson, for me, at plus 350 is great value.
Love it. Lope, what do you think about the wide receiver position? Do you want to go with the favorite, or do you want to take some plus money?
I completely agree. I think Quentin Johnson's the best wide receiver. Obviously, when it comes to wide receivers, it's just a matter of flavor. But I don't know how you can't like him. He tore the combine apart. He's got a great vertical, very fast, and seems to play his best football still, even in the fourth quarter, like Adam was talking about with his stamina.
No one knows great skills like Batman, even though he's Fat Batman. So what do you think, Fat Batman, about the wide receiver position? He must have gotten another call from the back cave. We can always check back in with him in just a moment. But that said, we just went through all of our betting odds for the positions in the NFL draft. Make sure you go to buttfumblesports.com, our website, and check out all of our picks for the NFL draft that we'll be putting out over the next few weeks. Not just who we think is going to go down in the mock drafts, but again, who are the smart players to bet on when they're going to be selected, what teams they're going to be selected to. There are also bets you can make on which player will go first out of one or two options. So certainly something you want to check back in. Plenty of betting opportunities if you love putting your money down around the NFL. It's something you can do at this point 12 months a year. It doesn't just have to be in season. Appreciate all of you joining us. We're going to shift to the final segment of the show where we mark our words, mark my words every week. We do this, but we also bring a little bit of the gambling flavor that we just had a moment ago to this segment because we are going to look towards the odds of where Lamar Jackson will play game one of the 2023 NFL season. So Adam, Lope, I know you're familiar with this segment where we mark our words down and we have to live by them. But this also comes with some betting along with it. The Ravens are the favorite at minus 200. The Colts are plus 300. Falcons plus 1,000. Dolphins, here you go, Lope. Dolphins are plus 750. And the Patriots are plus 1,400. Adam, we start with you. Mark my words, where will Lamar Jackson be playing game one of the 2023 regular season?
Mark my words, and I wouldn't have said this a couple weeks ago, but I believe Lamar Jackson and the Atlanta Falcons could be a mix here at plus 1,000. I wouldn't have said it 2 weeks ago, but for some reason I have a feeling that Atlanta isn't confident in Ritter, and I feel like Lamar Jackson could beat Atlanta next year and out of the AFC.
Bold prediction. Lope, we go to you. Given the odds I just read, what do you think? Where would you put your money down? Mark my words, Lamar Jackson will be playing where game one of the 2023 regular season?
Mark my words, Lamar Jackson will be playing for the Baltimore Ravens at the start of the season.
Not taking too many chances.
Go with the chalk.
Go with the chalk. Love it. Agree with you, Lope. Absolutely. I'm going to put my money down on the Baltimore Ravens as well. Minus 200, I actually feel like is pretty good odds given everything. I feel like John Harbaugh is kind of telling bettors out there, Lamar Jackson's going nowhere. Meek Mill can do everything he can. The only team I see being a threat is the Indianapolis Colts. And we mentioned this last week. I don't think they're going to draft Anthony Richardson. I don't think they're going to trade for Lamar Jackson. I think Jim Irsay is going to draft Will Levis. I thought that before. I think it now. And you can think whatever you want about the comment, but I think he wants his tall white boy quarterback in every way imaginable. But I like that play, Adam, when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons at plus 1,000. Now we will, unfortunately, for some, transition to actually we'll do Aaron Rodgers in a second, Adam. You're relieved for just 1 minute. We're going to do DeAndre Hopkins next. Here's one for you. Where will DeAndre Hopkins play game one of the 2023 NFL season? Right now, the Cardinals are the favorite, but it's at plus money. Cardinals at plus 400. The Bears at plus 900. Shout out to Yoni, one of our loyal listeners. Baltimore Ravens are plus 750. The Giants are plus 850. Falcons plus 1,400. Packers, here you go, Adam. Packers are plus 1,100, and the New England Patriots are plus 300. The only other team, here's a favorite for you. I didn't see them before. The Buffalo Bills are plus 110. I didn't see that before. I don't know. We got these odds off Bovada, sportsbook we go to. Adam, we start with you. A surprising favorite in this one in the Buffalo Bills. Would you put your money down plus 110 on Buffalo?
Yeah, there's been some late articles about that, but mark my words, DeAndre Hopkins will not go to Buffalo. I think they're going to be out on him, and I believe he will stay in Arizona at plus 400 to play next season.
Oh, I love that play at plus 400. That's a great bet. Lope, where do you come out on DeAndre Hopkins, and where you put your money down for him to play next year?
Well, I assume the Bills would have to be if Diggs for Hopkins trade was going to be made.
No way, Lope. Get out of here.
You think they want both of them on the side?
Of course. I think it's an arms race right now in the AFC East, and I feel like the Bills see the Jets and the Dolphins coming hard, and they want to go make a massive move. They just have to give up draft capital, right?
Well, I don't see. I mean, I just don't. DeAndre Hopkins is going to play number 2 in Buffalo. I guess. I don't.
Okay, then
Good,
who do
good
you
luck
like,
on that.
Lo?
I think
Mark my words. Who do you think?
I think the Cardinals are probably the safe move. I think the only other team that would make a lot of sense is the Giants. They need a lot of help there, and why risk trying to draft late and get a wide receiver when you get a proven one?
Okay, I'm actually going to mark my words. This is the ultimate long shot for me, but mark my words. I'm going to say the New England Patriots at plus 300. I know Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins have beef, but I think that the Patriots aren't going to make the move for Lamar Jackson because they're going to stay with Mac Jones. But they need to get a wide receiver, and they have not done well in free agency, acquiring a wide receiver this offseason. Their history of drafting a wide receiver is well known. Bill Belichick sucks at it. So DeAndre Hopkins, to me, is the only real solution to get a star wide receiver paired with Mac Jones in what is a pivotal year. Again, I know Bill O'Brien and him have some beef. You feel like Bill O'Brien's going to be the one who has to eat it on that one. But I like the Patriots at plus 300 making that move. Adam, we go back to you.
What's going to be the asking price if Hopkins does get traded from Arizona? What do you think would be a fair trade? Let's talk draft choices.
Yeah, I think it's a second-round pick. I mean, I'm still that high on him. I know there's some people who would probably at this point feel differently. I think Jalen Ramsey's deal in some ways is an indicator of what a player of that kind of star caliber is worth. I know Ramsey's younger, but to me, DeAndre Hopkins has he's got years ahead of him. And one of the reasons I feel that way is because he's not a burner. He's not a Tyreek Hill where his entire skill set is based on his speed. This guy can go into a jump ball situation at any point in the field, and you feel like he's got a 70-30 advantage on the defensive back, which is massive in the NFL. So I feel like DeAndre Hopkins has another 3-4 years of solid production ahead of him. Is it not? Is it what it's been in the last 5 years? No, but I feel like he's going to be a top 12 wide receiver, maybe not a top 5 like he's been, but top 10, top 12. So I think a second-round pick would be worth it. Adam, do you think that's a little high?
I don't think we're too far off. I was actually thinking third round. So I think we're in the ballpark there. Yep.
Lope, do you think my comparison of the Jalen Ramsey deal is similar, or do you think DeAndre Hopkins is more valuable given how the league kind of values offense at this point?
I think it's similar, but I think with wide receivers, when college is giving you 3 or 4 star, 10 different wide receivers and stars, they're easier to accumulate. So I'm with you. I think a second or a third round would get it done, but I think with wide receiver, it's a little different than cornerback.
If I were the Patriots to my plus 300, this is what I would do. You have the 14th overall pick. You're probably going to be in a position where you can trade back, acquire another, maybe a second-round pick if somebody wants to move up to get somebody, maybe a third. And I think that's where the Patriots could ultimately find the draft capital to both acquire DeAndre Hopkins and still get pieces in the draft because Lord knows New England needs help all over the field. But that's where I look towards that. We don't have odds for Aaron Rodgers because he's pretty much said he wants to go to the New York Jets. But Adam, we ask every week and mark my words, because we love torturing you so much. There's nothing we like more than to torture a Wisconsin fan over where Aaron Rodgers is going to be. But mark my words, at this point next week, will Aaron Rodgers be a Jet?
I know you kid because you care, Wyatt. So I know that's why you do it. Okay, I get it. At this point next week, mark my words, Aaron Rodgers will not be a Jet. It won't be far off. I think compensation still needs to be sorted, and obviously his massive salary. But at this point, the Jets need a quarterback. The Packers can't bring him back to hold a clipboard for Jordan Love. So mark my words, Aaron Rodgers will be a Packer next week, but a Jet not far after.
Okay, Lope, we'll let you close out the conversation on Aaron Rodgers. Mark my words, will Aaron Rodgers be a Jet in a week?
Not in a week. It's going to take a little bit longer than that. I think the Packers are going to wait it out and try to get as much as they can from the Jets. So it's going to happen, but not by next week. We'll be doing.
Well, we know it. Go ahead, Lope.
I said we'll be asking this question again in a week.
I was about to say, I so hope so, because Adam, I love bringing it up. There's nothing better. And by the way, Adam, you shouldn't be disappointed or dislike talking about Aaron Rodgers, because it saves us from talking about Jordan Love. And the one thing that Jordan Love should appreciate is not having the spotlight on him just yet, because I felt good about Aaron Rodgers when Brett Favre left. I don't feel that way about Jordan Love, but that's a conversation for another day, Adam. We'll get to that next week. Appreciate all of you guys joining the show. Great time talking football. You can catch us every Tuesday night on YouTube and, of course, on Twitter Spaces. But Fumble Sports on YouTube, Sports Fumble on Twitter. Of course, appreciate those who contribute to the show. You can catch Adam at SpotterAJ on Twitter. Does a great job for us, as well as Lope. You can catch him at JLopedog, DAWG on Twitter. Big shout out to Fat Batman, who swooped in for a time, had to leave to go fight crime, but appreciate him giving some analysis from the Batcave in Gotham. And of course, big shout out to our man Bleece. You can catch him at Bleece NFT. That's BLEACE NFT. One of the most creative guys around, doing a great job. Catch him at the Metaverse Fashion Week. He's doing an unbelievable job there. You can catch him out. Check out his stuff. Definitely want to plug that. So appreciate all you guys listening to the show. Make sure you go to our website, buttfumblesports.com, to get all of our content across all things sports. And of course, you can check out all of our social media channels, Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and Sports Fumble on Twitter. Right as I lose my voice towards the end of the show, appreciate all you joining us. We'll check back in with you in a week. Have a great week, and we'll talk football then. Bye-bye.